What happens when nobody trusts opinions anymore? Not influencers, not experts, not media, not even people who sound confident. What happens when every opinion can be questioned instantly, tested, compared, broken down? Because that's exactly what is starting to happen. And most people don't see it yet. I'm Ilan Lamin, and here we explore the AI economy, not through hype, not through fear, but through what is actually changing. And today I want to explore something that might sound extreme at first: the end of influence. Not completely, not overnight, but a deep shift in how influence works. Because for a long time, influence was built on one thing: trust. And right now, that trust is starting to change. You see, for decades, influence followed a simple pattern. Someone had knowledge or access or even confidence, and others listened. That person could be an expert, a journalist, a teacher, an influencer, a public figure. And the reason this worked was because people had limited ways to verify information. If someone sounded credible, you trusted them. If someone had status, you followed them. If something was repeated enough, it became accepted. Influence was not just about truth, it was about perception. Now, something changes. You no longer need to rely on one opinion. You can take that opinion and test it instantly. You can ask, is this accurate? What are the alternatives? What are the weaknesses? And you can do that in seconds. This changes the relationship between people and information. You don't just receive opinions, you interact with them. At first, this feels like a small improvement. You double check things, you explore more. But over time, this changes behavior. You see, you trust less automatically. You question more, you compare more. And slowly, influence loses its old foundation, so to speak. Now, this does not mean influence disappear. It transforms. Before, influence was about convincing people. Now it is about withstanding verification. That is a completely different standard because anyone listening can test what you say. They can challenge it, they can break it down. So influence becomes more fragile, not weaker, but harder to maintain. Now, think about how this affects different areas. Let's say media. Before, media shaped narratives, people consumed information and accepted it. Now people question it. They verify, they compare sources, they don't just believe. This reduces the power of narrative control. Now think about influencers. Before, influence was built on trust and relatability, so to speak. How relatable you to your audience. People followed opinions, adapted views. Now followers are more critical. They don't just listen, they evaluate, they question. This changes the relationship. Influence becomes less about personality and more about accuracy. Now, think about expertise. Expert still matters, but not in the same way, so to speak. Before, expertise was authority. Now it is input. Something you consider, not something you follow blindly. And this creates a shift. People no longer depend on a single source. They build their own understanding using multiple inputs, using AI, using reasoning. This creates something new: distributed interpretation. Instead of a few voices shaping reality, now many individuals interpret this themselves. Now, let's go a little bit deeper. Why does this matter? Because influence is not just social, it is economic. People buy based on trust, people invest based on belief, people follow based on perception. If trust changes, behavior changes. And If behavior changes, markets change. Now, people are less likely to follow trends blindly. They analyze, they question, they compare. This makes markets more dynamic, less predictable, more fragmented. Now, look at brands. Before, brands relied on perception, reputation, marketing. Now, consumers dig deeper. They validate claims. They explore alternatives. This forces companies to be more transparent, more accurate, more real. Now, look at decision making. Before, people relied on trusted voices. Now they rely on more on their own analysis, with support obviously of AI, but still their own. This increases independence and reduces centralized influence. Now, here's something important. This does not affect everyone equally. Some people fully engage, they question everything, they verify, they build their own understanding. Others still rely on opinions. They follow, they trust. So again, two paths appear. One where influence weakens, another where it's still, it is still operated. But even there, it becomes less stable. Now, think about the long-term effect. If more people stop trusting opinions blindly, influence must evolve. It can no longer rely on perception alone. It must rely on substance, like clarity, accuracy, consistency, because anything weak can be exposed instantly. This raises the standard. For everyone now, let's put it this way. Let's just step back a little bit. This is not just a shift in media. It is a shift in how humans relate to trust, from acceptance to verification, from trust to validation. And that changes everything because trust is no longer delivered. It is constructed by individuals in real time. Now think about what this means. If influence weakens, what replaces it? Not nothing. Something else emerges. Guidance, yes, guidance. Not authority, not control, but support. People don't want to be told what to think. They want help thinking, basically. And that is where the system is going, from influencing decisions to supporting decisions. Now, this is the real shift, as you can see. Not the end of influence, but the transformation of it from external persuasion, basically, to internal reasoning. And that is driven by one thing: the ability to think independently, with the support of AI, obviously. Now, let's bring everything together. We are moving from a world where a few voices shape many minds to a world where many minds shape their own understanding. And that changes the structure of influence completely. It becomes less centralized, more dynamic, more fragile, but more real also. And in that world, the advantage is not being the loudest voice. It is being the most accurate, the most consistent, the most valuable. So this is not, as you can see, the end of influence. It is the end of blind influence, the end of unquestioned authority, and the beginning of something else. A system where people think more, question more, verify more, and where influence must adapt to survive. So the real question is not, will influence disappear? The real question is, what kind of influence will remain? Because in a world where everyone can verify, only one thing survives: trust, the truth, trust and the truth that can withstand being tested. If this got you thinking, please drop a comment. I read everything. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.